My sister and I were simultaneously adopted by a billionaire family. One of us stayed to be a playmate for the billionaire's son, while the other was sent to an old villa to care for the billionaire's father. In my previous life, my sister Mia saw the seemingly gentle heir, Ethan, and chose to stay without hesitation. But beneath his gentle exterior, he was a deeply disturbed and abusive psychopath. Soon, Mia was tortured by him until her legs were crippled. Meanwhile, with grandfather Kai's support, I went abroad to study and entered the entertainment industry, becoming the youngest actress to win the Triple Crown Best Actress award. Because of this, Mia didn't hesitate to drag me into a fire, killing us both, just to be reborn. But no matter how twisted Ethan was, he was still just a teenager. Grandfather Kai, however, was a cunning old fox who had lived more than half his life. Despite my quick thinking, I was still a step too late. Mia and I were adopted. Mia suddenly knelt before Grandfather Kai, sobbing and sniffling. "Grandfather, please let me stay by your side and take care of you. You remind me so much of my own grandfather. I feel such a strong connection to you. From now on, I will respect you as if you were my own flesh and blood." Seeing this, I immediately realized that Mia had also been reborn. In my previous life, today was the day my sister Mia and I were adopted by the billionaire family. The current head of the family was Grandfather Kai, who had very few descendants, now only himself and his sole grandson Ethan. Grandfather Kai gave Mia and me a choice, to follow him or Ethan. In my previous life, Mia, seeing handsome Ethan, immediately chose him without thinking. I, on the other hand, was kept by Grandfather Kai. But even as a teenager, Ethan was a psychopath. Mia, being with him, suffered all kinds of torture, eventually being tormented to the point of permanent paralysis, confined to a wheelchair for life. Meanwhile, Grandfather Kai raised me, teaching me everything from music to painting and calligraphy, making me more beautiful and radiant each day. Not only that, he sent me abroad to study. After returning, I entered the entertainment industry. With the Kai family's backing, my path was smoothed and my fame soared. Later, thanks to film, I became the youngest actress to win the Triple Crown Best Actress award, my reputation resounding. In the eyes of outsiders, Mia's life and mine were worlds apart. Mia thought so too, but she didn't hate Ethan. Instead, she focused all her hatred on me. On the night I won my third Triple Crown Best Actress award, Mia set fire to the building, burning me to death. Because of her paralysis, she couldn't escape and also perished in the flames. Now reborn, the first thing Mia did was try to steal my life. But in truth, she didn't need to fight for it. I was willing to hand it to her on a silver platter. After all, no matter how twisted Ethan was, he was just a teenager. How could he compare to Grandfather Kai, an old man who had lived most of his life, his thoughts unfathomably deep? Grandfather Kai nodded in satisfaction, a faint, sharp glint in his eyes. He slowly said, "All right, seeing how devoted you are, you may come with me then." Mia, overjoyed, kowtowed 3 times with force. Then she stood up, took Grandfather Kai's arm, and obediently said, "Grandfather, let me help you." Grandfather Kai smiled and nodded. "Good, good, such a good girl." Then he casually pointed at me, "You go with Ethan." After speaking, he intentionally reminded Ethan, "Ethan, take good care of your little sister, all right?" Mia covered her mouth, suppressing a laugh, and looked at Ethan, saying, "Big brother, our little sister will be counting on you from now on. You must take very good care of her." She deliberately emphasized the words, "take good care," and then smugly glanced at me before taking Grandfather Kai's arm and leaving. I watched her retreating back, a cold, faint smile curling my lips. "Then go ahead and enjoy your new life. But anything you steal from my hands, don't ever expect to return." Suddenly, a low voice echoed in my ear, making my heart skip a beat. I turned to look at Ethan, who, at only 15, already exuded a dark, chilling, and terrifying aura. He was clearly not someone easy to deal with. I absolutely couldn't let my guard down. I took a deep breath, quickly put on a sweet smile, and ran up to him, obediently greeting, "Big brother, hello, my name is Chloe. From now on, I'm your little sister." Ethan's cold gaze swept over me, leaving no trace, yet a strange glint seemed to flash in his dark eyes. I clearly saw interest rising in their depths. "Is that so? You want me to be your sister? Dream on." But what could I do? Now I was just a child, barely 8 years old, adopted by a family full of psychopaths. There was no escape. Even if I killed him, I couldn't escape the Kai family's revenge. So for now, I could only obediently be a good little sister. I nodded firmly, "That's right." Then I tilted my head, looking shy and a little worried as I stared at him. "Big brother, do you? Not like me?" A faint curve appeared on Ethan's lips. He raised an eyebrow slightly and casually said, "Like, of course I like you." I immediately rushed forward, hugging his arm, and cheered excitedly, "Wonderful, I have a big brother, I have a big brother." Ethan's body suddenly stiffened. The next second, he forcefully pushed me away, his dark, terrifying eyes coldly watching me fall to the ground. His thin lips clearly uttered each word. "Get out! From now on, don't touch me without my permission." Such erratic temper. He truly was a psychopath. At some point, Mia had been standing silently on the second-floor hallway, observing. She saw me, having just entered the house, being bullied by Ethan, and she seemed greatly amused. It wasn't until the butler behind her reminded, "Miss, it's getting late, you should rest," that Mia finally spoke. She smugly glanced at me, then turned and left. I got up from the floor and ran to Ethan. Small as I was, I stubbornly clung to his arm. "No, I want to hug you, I want a big brother." Now, I must have looked exactly like a small, abandoned puppy, whimpering and crying in a corner. Ethan's body stiffened again, only this time, he didn't push me away. In my previous life, even though I wasn't with him, I understood Ethan's true nature very well. He became a psychopath solely due to the lack of parental love. His parents died tragically, but even when they were alive, they fought constantly small arguments every 3 days, major ones every 5. Theirs was a commercial marriage devoid of any affection. Each time they fought, they'd demand a divorce in front of Ethan, even arguing over who would take the child. "He's your son, you take him." "He came out of your belly, you take him, I don't want him." One day, they fought again, this time physically. In the chaos, his mother accidentally stabbed and killed his father. Then, in a panic, she took her own life. Ethan was only 5 years old then. He looked at his parents' bloody corpses, but his face remained eerily calm. From then on, he lived with Grandfather Kai. And could Grandfather Kai, such a perverted old man, raise a good person? Before getting married, Ethan's father had indulged in debauchery with Grandfather Kai, orgies with 3 or 4 people being a regular occurrence. He never cared for his son, only indulging in his twisted pleasures, from frolicking with men and women to pursuing the dream of eternal life. Ethan grew up in that environment. It would be strange if he hadn't become a psychopath. I decided to use love to reform him. Whether it worked or not, I had to try. What if it did? If not, I would find another way. At 15, Ethan had moved out to live alone. Now he cast a dark gaze at me, then at my small hand clinging tightly to his. He said nothing, just strode silently away. But his legs were too long. Even at 15, he was 1.8 meters tall, while I was barely 1.3 meters. I couldn't keep up. I deliberately whined, my voice sweet and drawn out, "Big brother, slow down a little. I can't keep up. Big brother, can you carry me?" Ethan didn't turn around, only gave me an impatient, cold glance. "Shut up. If you make another sound, I'll throw you into the sea for the sharks to eat." I immediately burst into tears. "You're so mean, boo-hoo-hoo, I don't want to be eaten by sharks." As I cried, I lunged into his chest, wiping my tears and snot all over his shirt. Actually, I was testing his limits. If he only threatened me with words and didn't act, then I still had a chance. Then I would know my boundaries. "Shut up," Ethan pointed directly at me. "If you cry one more time, I'll throw you into the sea for the sharks to eat." I immediately clamped my mouth shut, only my eyes still glistening with tears, my shoulders trembling with each muffled sob. Ethan gritted his teeth and closed his eyes. Perhaps he had never met a child as persistent as me. He must have been on the verge of going crazy. I nervously watched him. "Don't get angry so quickly. Did I overdo it?" Unexpectedly, Ethan bent down, startling me. I quickly put my hands over my bottom, screaming in fear, "Big brother, don't hit me." Ethan's face became incredibly complicated. His inky black eyes remained calm. He picked me up and strode straight out. "Phew, so I've passed this test. Should I take this opportunity to push things a little further?" I clung tightly to his neck, my voice whining, "Big brother, aren't you angry with me anymore? So you're not going to throw me into the sea for the sharks to eat? Big brother, I'll be really good from now on, okay? Don't be angry with me anymore, and please don't abandon me. My sister doesn't want me anymore. Now I only have you." Ethan took a deep breath, turning to look at me with eyes full of disgust. But when confronted with my glistening, pitiful eyes, he finally compromised. "I'm not throwing you anywhere right now. But if you're not good later, I'll still throw you into the sea for the sharks to eat." I immediately giggled, burying my head in the crook of his neck and rubbing against him. "I knew you wouldn't abandon me. You're so good. Chloe, can you shut up?" "Yes, big brother, I know, big brother." Ethan gritted his teeth, muttering, I really want to sew that mouth shut, don't I? Am I that annoying? Upon arrival, he threw me into a room and then turned to leave. This guy wasn't just a psychopath, he was also extremely self-sufficient. He didn't allow servants to stay overnight in the villa, yet he left a child like me here. Who would take care of me? Luckily, I wasn't a real child. After bathing, I wrapped myself in a towel and went out, rummaging through the whole room but finding no children's clothes. Not even adult clothes. This guy had absolutely no qualities of a guardian. Annoyed, I went to look for clothes when Ethan's low voice suddenly rang out, startling me. "What are you doing?" I quietly took a deep breath, adjusted my emotions, then turned around, pouting. "Big brother, I've had a nice bath, but I don't have any clothes to wear." Ethan looked at me, his brows furrowed, still not relaxing since he first met me. He was growing more and more impatient. "Why are you so troublesome?" I turned and squatted down, muttering pitifully. "Big brother, do you hate me again? Why do you hate me? What did I do wrong?" Footsteps echoed behind me. Even the thick carpet couldn't muffle the sound of his shoes, showing how annoyed he was. Very quickly, a short-sleeved t-shirt was thrown onto my head. "Put this on and get back to your room immediately. Don't come out tonight." I pulled the shirt down, holding it in my hand, and stood up to look at him. I obediently nodded. "Yes, I understand." Then I even waved goodbye. "Good night, big brother." Ethan didn't bother to care, turning and leaving. I hugged the clothes, went back to my room, locked the door, and sat on the bed, finally breathing a sigh of relief. So, the first day was safely over. But I still had to be more careful. It was best to sleep with one eye open. The result of sleeping with one eye open was that I barely slept all night. In truth, had I ever had a peaceful night's sleep in my previous life? Even abroad, I was always afraid, fearing that one day Grandfather Kai would suddenly barge into my room. Mia had no idea that I had suffered from severe depression in my previous life. So, the fire she set that night was, for me, a release. But now, everything could start anew. I definitely had to try. I had to save myself. Outside, it was already bright. I was still wearing Ethan's shirt from yesterday, walking barefoot downstairs. In the kitchen, only a busy middle-aged woman was there. Seeing me, she smiled gently. "This must be little Chloe, right?" I nodded. "Yes, hello, Auntie. Where's Big Brother?" "The young master left early this morning, but he told me to come early to prepare breakfast for you." The breakfast was plentiful, but I had no appetite, only eating a few bites before putting my fork down. In my heart, I was still wondering how I should bring up the topic of going to school with Ethan tonight when he returned. It wasn't until past 11 p.m. that Ethan came home. I heard a sound from outside the room, took a deep breath, mentally prepared myself, and then stepped out. Ethan was already in his room, but when I entered, I didn't see him. The faint sound of running water came from the bathroom. I knew he was showering, so I climbed onto his bed. When Ethan came out and saw me on the bed, his face immediately darkened. "Who told you to sleep here? Get down right now." I hugged the blanket tightly, my voice trembling. "But I'm so scared, big brother, I want to sleep with you." Just as he was about to get angry, I started sniffling and crying. On his face, helplessness mixed with murderous intent was evident a truly complex person. He closed his eyes, suppressing his frustration. After a long moment, he finally gritted his teeth and let out a curse. I deliberately pretended to be innocent. "Big brother, what does that word mean?" "Shut up." Ethan suddenly stepped forward, yanked the blanket off, and lifted me up. Just as I was about to open my mouth to cry, he blocked it with his finger, then tossed me onto the bed, coldly saying, "Tomorrow, get your ass to school." And just like that, it was done. Unbelievably smooth. A week after I started school, I met Mia again. She was wearing a luxurious princess dress, carrying a delicate small basket. As she entered the classroom, she handed out fruits to each classmate. When she reached my desk, she gave me a provocative glance, then placed a small box on my desk and walked away. After finishing distributing the fruits, Mia walked to the front of the class, bowed gracefully, and said, "Hello everyone, I'm Mia, the granddaughter of Grandfather Kai, head of the Kai family, the richest family in the country. I hope everyone will help me during my time here." Just hearing this introduction, I doubted whether she had truly been reborn. A soul in her 20s bragging to a bunch of 8-year-olds like this? What was the point of trying to curry favor with these kids? In class, a boy named Alex pointed at Mia and curiously asked, "The richest family in the country is Kai. Why is your last name Mia?" Mia paused, a hint of embarrassment appearing between her brows, but then she arrogantly lifted her chin and said, "I'm an adopted child of the Kai family." Another classmate pointed at me and asked, "What's your relationship with Chloe? You two look so alike, and you both have the last name Chu. Mia glanced at me, pouted without saying anything, then quickly returned to her seat. At this point, the homeroom teacher spoke up. "All right, class, let's give our new classmate a round of applause." Applause filled the room, and the lesson began. My desk mate leaned over and whispered, "Do you know the new student?" I just nodded but didn't say that Mia was my twin sister, adopted at the same time. After class, Mia pulled me to a corner of the schoolyard, her voice full of warning. "Chloe, even though we're sisters and we're adopted by the Kai family together, you're with Ethan, and I'm with grandfather. We don't live together anymore, so it's best we don't associate much from now on." What more could I say after she said that? I could only nod. Mia surveyed me from head to toe, then suddenly burst out laughing. "What's wrong? Isn't living with Ethan pleasant, huh? Look at what you're wearing." She deliberately spun around in front of me. "All these clothes were bought by grandfather for me, aren't they beautiful?" Seeing my lack of response, Mia arrogantly tossed her chin again. "In short, from now on, don't come to me for anything. I won't help you." "Fine then," I said indifferently. "Mia, then each of us will suffer in our own way." With that, she turned and walked towards the school building. But before she got far, she threw back, "Anyway, I won't have to suffer anymore." It seemed grandfather Kai hadn't laid a hand on her yet, but don't worry, that would come soon. Sure enough, not long after, I received news that grandfather Kai had sent Mia abroad to recover from illness. In my previous life, grandfather Kai didn't take me abroad until I entered university. Why so early this time? Could it be that the information I leaked had taken effect? Seeing the confusion in my eyes, Ethan smiled faintly. It was a cruel smile. "Your sister, ever since she was with grandfather, has wanted everything. It seems she's perfectly suited to his tastes. Don't worry, it's very open abroad. Grandfather will certainly cultivate her well." I pretended to be innocent, but deep down, I understood everything. Mia had brought this upon herself because of her excessive greed, and I had seized the opportunity to give her a push. Years passed. The next time I met Mia was when I was 18. She came to my university as an exchange student. In the blink of an eye, we hadn't seen each other for 10 years. She still had the gloomy expression of her previous life, only her clothes were much more luxurious. In her previous life, Mia was tormented by that psychopath, Ethan. This life, her tormentor had changed to grandfather Kai. Despite the change of tormentor, the outcome remained the same, a single path with two forks. It truly was fate. My sister and I had died and been reborn together, and now we were attending the same university, even assigned to the same dorm room. When I opened the door and entered, Mia was sitting blankly on the edge of the bed. Hearing the sound, she reacted like a startled rabbit, jumping up. When she saw me, she was momentarily stunned, but then, as if a burden had been lifted, she said, "It's you." Mia subtly lifted her chin, her gaze sweeping over me from head to toe. "How have you been these past years? Did that psychopath Ethan treat you well?" Just as I was about to answer, a steady voice suddenly resonated from behind. Ethan walked in, stopping beside me, pulling my suitcase. He glanced at Mia with an indifferent, dismissive look and asked, "Since when did I become a psychopath?" Mia already looked bad, but now, seeing Ethan, her face grew even paler. Just as I feared grandfather Kai, Mia also had a psychological trauma from Ethan. She swallowed, her voice dry. I just spoke nonsense, I'm sorry." Ethan didn't even bother looking at her anymore, nor did he say anything further. He surveyed the room once, then went to help me make my bed and meticulously arrange my luggage, folding each piece of clothing neatly into the wardrobe. After he finished, he instructed, "I've left the car for you. If you want to go home after class, call me and I'll pick you up. If you don't need me to pick you up, tell the driver to take you to the company first." After saying that, he glanced around the dorm room again, his tone full of distaste. "Staying here for a few days for the experience is fine, but it's best to move out for convenience." I had worked so hard to have a normal life. Now, I was like any other normal university student. I didn't want to move. I firmly said, "I want to stay here." Ethan nodded. "All right." He gently ruffled my hair, just like he used to when I was little, then cast a warning glance at Mia before leaving. I walked him downstairs. When I returned to the room, I met Mia's disbelieving gaze. She couldn't wait any longer, eagerly asking, "Why is he treating you so well?" Mia's psychological collapse was faster than I expected. I deliberately acted nonchalant. "He's my big brother. Isn't it natural for him to treat me well? Doesn't grandfather treat you well, big sister?" Mia immediately fell into a panic. She sat slumped on the bed, clutching her head as if sinking deep into misery. "It's not like that, it can't be like that." Suddenly, she stood up, lunging to tear my clothes off. I immediately pushed her away, angrily shouting, "What are you doing, big sister?" Mia's face was flushed, her whole body trembling as if she had gone mad. She reached for me again. "Take it off and let me see, let me see." She was more severely agitated than I thought. It seemed Grandfather Kai truly hadn't disappointed me. I slapped her hard. The sharp sound echoed. "Are you awake, big sister?" Mia suddenly froze, as if all her strength had been drained, standing still without moving. I stepped forward, pretending to be worried, and took her arm. "Big sister, what's wrong? Don't scare me." Mia forcefully pushed me away, her eyes full of resentment, tears falling one by one. "Why? Why does everyone treat you so well? Grandfather too, Ethan too. Why? Why do they treat me like this? Why me? What the hell do you know? In my previous life, Grandfather Kai tormented me until I wished for death. If you hadn't burned me to death, I don't know how much longer I would have had to endure that hell. In truth, in my previous life, I had thought about saving myself, calling the police, or running away. Once I was old enough, I could have done it. But Grandfather Kai, that psychopath, seemed to read all my thoughts. He would smile and tell me, "Don't even think about running away. Don't even think about calling the police for help. If you're not thinking about whether your tiny hands can fight me, then at least think about your sister. I see every single one of your moves. Don't make any rash decisions, or not only will you lose your life, but I'll drag your sister down to hell with you too, little Chloe. Be a good girl and stay by my side, take care of me. Everything I own will be yours someday. Haven't I treated you well enough?" In my previous life, I lived under his oppression and torment for too long, eventually having no choice but to compromise. Yet, the very sister I wanted to protect, out of jealousy, set fire to the building and burned me to death. My previous life was truly a farce. So, isn't Mia in this life just like I was before? I looked at her indifferently, a faint, contemptuous smile on my face. "Big sister, has Grandfather mistreated you? What has he done to you?" Mia wiped away her tears, then suddenly smiled. "Nothing at all, I'm fine, just a little stressed lately. You don't know, do you? I'm about to become a huge star?" I nodded. "Congratulations, big sister. The entertainment industry, a place with no morals whatsoever, is hardly a good place. What's more, she's being pushed into it by Grandfather Kai. Her fate is predictable." Mia proudly raised her head. "Once I'm famous, everything will naturally fall into place. Later, if anyone bullies me, I won't have to worry because my fans won't let them off the hook." She seemed to see a brilliant future right before her eyes, so excited that her entire face began to tremble. Even though it was autumn, the weather was still very hot. Early in the morning, I looked at the long-sleeved clothes she was wearing and intentionally asked, "Big sister, are you sleeping in long sleeves? Aren't you hot?" Actually, I just asked casually. If it agitated her, all the better, if not, no loss. But this question truly infuriated Mia. "What I like to wear is my business. What does it have to do with you?" I pretended to be annoyed. "I was just showing a little concern for you." "Why are you so fierce with me?" I got out of bed and went into the bathroom. Just as I walked away, Mia suddenly spoke up. "Chloe, you're not doing so well either, are you?" I paused, turned around to look at her, pretending not to hear clearly. "What did you say, big sister?" "Don't pretend." Mia laughed coldly, full of sarcasm. "Ethan is the best actor I've ever met. Now even you know how to act." Her gaze fell on my legs, and she smiled. "I advise you, while you can still run and jump, make good use of your legs. Don't wait until you can't use them anymore. By then, it'll be too late for regret." Was she talking about her previous self? I looked down at my legs, muttering, "Don't talk nonsense, big sister." Then I walked into the bathroom. Of course, Mia wasn't talking nonsense. She was looking forward to the day Ethan would break my legs so she could stand there and gloat over my pain. But very soon, my chance for retaliation came, and I had been waiting for it. After military training ended, Ethan came to pick me up from school. Grandfather said we're going back to the old villa for dinner. He controlled the steering wheel, eyes fixed straight ahead, his voice flat and emotionless. Having to see him again? I looked out the window and only casually replied, Ethan seemed to glance at me. "Nervous, or don't want to see him?" I turned to answer, but he spoke first. "If you don't want to, then don't. It's fine not to see him." Indeed, how could Ethan not understand his grandfather? Although I hadn't seen Grandfather Kai in 10 years, I knew he was both his grandfather and mine. "It's fine to see him for a bit," I said. "After all, it's not like we see him every day." Ethan indifferently hummed. "The wicked live long." This was truly the most accurate description of Grandfather Kai. He was over 80 years old, and apart from his heart condition, his health was still very good. Even with heart problems, he had money, A single dose of specialized medicine could cost hundreds of millions. But his spending wasn't in vain. Who knew when he would discover the secret to eternal life? I chuckled inwardly, but outwardly I obediently walked beside Ethan into the villa. "Grandfather," Ethan called out indifferently. I politely bowed my head. "Hello, grandfather." Grandfather Kai, leaning on a cane, scrutinized me from head to toe, then smiled. That gaze was all too familiar to me, like a filthy toad extending its dirty tongue to lick me. It filled me with utter disgust. Ethan subtly stepped forward, perfectly blocking me, severing Grandfather Kai's gaze that had been fixed on me. Grandfather Kai retracted his gaze and slowly nodded. He took out a red envelope and offered it to me. "Little Chloe, these past few years, I've been abroad and haven't seen you, nor have I given you any gifts. It seems I've neglected you. This is a small token of my affection. Take it and don't say grandfather favors your sister, all right?" I stared at the old, outstretched hand, feeling nothing but nausea. I hesitated, not wanting to take it. Mia came down from upstairs, still wearing her long-sleeved shirt and long pants. "He's already given you the red envelope. Just take it. It's impolite to refuse an elder's goodwill like that." She walked over, continuing to urge me, "Hurry up and take it." Well, it's foolish not to take money when it's handed directly to you. Just as I was about to reach out, another hand was faster, taking the red envelope from Grandfather Kai's hand. Ethan opened the envelope, took out a bank card, and chuckled softly. "Looks like it's a considerable amount," he casually said. "Grandfather, I'll accept this on Chloe's behalf." After saying that, he reminded me, "Chloe, quickly thank Grandfather." I immediately nodded. "Thank you, Grandfather." Grandfather Kai softly hummed, his eyes showing a hint of dissatisfaction. "After all, I didn't raise her, so she's still a bit distant, unlike your sister." He patted the spot next to him. "Little Mia, come sit next to Grandfather." Mia hesitated for only a second, then immediately sat down. Grandfather Kai's old hand seemed to casually pat Mia's thigh, but his gaze was on me. "Little Chloe, I don't mean anything by it. It's just that you're not as lovable as your sister. You haven't smiled once since you walked through the door." Looking at this perverted old man's face, I had tried hard not to punch all his teeth out, but I still forced a faint smile. Grandfather Kai stood up, leaning on his cane. "Ethan, come to my study. I have something to discuss with you." Ethan nodded gently. Before leaving, he ruffled my hair, then helped Grandfather Kai upstairs. Mia coldly watched their retreating backs. When no one was looking, she subtly covered her thigh as if something filthy had just touched her there. Then she took my hand. "Little Chloe, we haven't seen each other in years. Stay here tonight?" I laughed coldly inwardly. With acting like this, she wanted to enter show business. How she treated me at school before, and now she suddenly changed her attitude. If this was an ulterior motive, what was it? I glanced upstairs. I don't know. "I have to ask my big brother first. Only if he agrees can I stay." I said this intentionally. Mia immediately believed it. "I told you so," I asked her. "What did you say, big sister?" Mia smugly raised an eyebrow. "Nothing. I'll go prepare a room for you first." With that, she happily went upstairs. I followed her. When I reached the study door, I stopped. From inside, Grandfather Kai's angry voice boomed, "Rebellious brat, now even you won't listen to me." Ethan's calm voice immediately followed. "Grandfather, you're old. You've played enough games. It's time to settle down and live peacefully." Thud! Grandfather Kai's cane slammed onto the floor, emitting a low thud. "Bring that Chloe girl to me tonight?" My whole body stiffened, feeling as if the blood in my veins was flowing backward. I clenched my hands into fists. So, Mia was indeed trying to push me into hell. But I was only angry now, no longer afraid. Because over all these years with Ethan, I had constantly brainwashed him, repeatedly reminding him to seize control of the Kai family's power. That way, Grandfather Kai wouldn't be able to manipulate him anymore. Oh, right. Grandfather Kai's early departure abroad this life was also partly my doing. I was the one who spread the rumor that there was an elixir of immortality on an island. Grandfather Kai had heard about it before, so of course, he believed it immediately. Inside the study, silence suddenly fell. A moment later, Grandfather Kai's frightened voice rang out. "You! What are you going to do, Ethan? Are you going to lay hands on your own grandfather? I am your grandfather." Ethan's chilling laughter echoed, bone-chilling as if from hell. "Grandfather, you're old. I've already told you to live peacefully. I don't care how you carouse outside, and Mia has nothing to do with me. You can torment her however you want, but Chloe is my limit. Let me warn you, don't touch her." Grandfather Kai's trembling voice rang out. "You, what do you want to do? What can you do to me?" Ethan chuckled softly, his voice full of sarcasm. "I can't do anything to you, Grandfather, but you're old. If one day you were to suddenly die, that would be quite normal, wouldn't it? Don't you agree? Ethan, what do you want to do? Grandfather Kai screamed in pain. Ethan lazily chuckled again. Just kidding, grandfather. Don't take it seriously. I heard enough. I didn't bother to listen any further, turning and heading downstairs. Very quickly, Mia came downstairs too. She excitedly told me, "Big sister has prepared a room for you, little Chloe. You must stay here tonight." "She won't be staying tonight." Ethan's calm voice drifted down from the stairs. Mia stiffened, reflexively letting go of my hand. Ethan slowly descended, walking straight towards me. "Leaving right now?" I shook my head. "After dinner, we should at least have one meal with grandfather." Ethan silently watched me for a moment, then nodded softly. At the dinner table, I became very lively, chatting with grandfather Kai as if I had countless stories to tell. He smiled, praising my eloquence. But Ethan noticed something unusual. He just ate silently, his movements graceful. I pulled my gaze away from him, looked at him again, and continued chatting with grandfather Kai. "Grandfather, do you know? My sister is the campus beauty queen. Not long after school started, she already has a ton of suitors." Mia flinched, her chopsticks clattering to the ground. The smile on grandfather Kai's face froze for a moment, then he chuckled again, telling a servant to pick up the chopsticks and give Mia a new pair. "Pay a little attention," he reminded. Mia's voice trembled slightly. "Grandfather, don't listen to Chloe's nonsense. No one is pursuing me." "How can you say no one? I saw it with my own eyes." I chuckled mischievously. "Are you shy about saying it in front of grandfather, big sister?" "You're 18 now, big sister, you can date. Grandfather wouldn't be so strict as to not even let you fall in love, would he?" Mia lowered her head, softly commanding, "Shut up." Suddenly, as if remembering something, she looked up at Ethan. "Little sister also has many admirers at school, big brother. Aren't you concerned?" Ethan tilted his head to look at me, then gently ruffled my hair. "Right now, the most important thing is to study well, graduate from university, and then think about other things." I nodded. Mia tightened her grip on her chopsticks, a flicker of unwillingness in her eyes. But when she met Ethan's cold gaze, her face immediately paled. She hastily lowered her head, her fingers trembling. After dinner, Ethan drove me home. He was very silent on the way, not saying a word. Back home, I was about to go upstairs immediately, but his voice echoed behind me. "Want to see a good show?" I turned around. "What kind of show?" I really couldn't guess this one. "Follow me." Ethan took my hand and led me to his study. He opened his laptop, clicked on a software, and immediately heart-wrenching wails echoed from inside. "Grandfather, I really didn't." "Stop it, grandfather, please, it hurts." "Grandfather, it hurts too much, don't hit me anymore." My whole body trembled. I felt all my organs contracting, suddenly reaching a limit. I covered my ears tightly and screamed, "Stop, stop." Ethan quickly turned it off and hugged me tightly. "Chloe, don't be scared, it's me, I was wrong." I pushed him away, hitting him with all my strength. Why did you make me listen to that, Ethan? I hate you, I hate you. I hate grandfather Kai. I hate Mia, I want them to die a terrible death." Ethan stood still, letting me vent my anger on him. I don't know how long I hit him until my arms were sore and I had no strength left. Only then did I stop. He softly asked, "Feel better now?" He sighed and hugged me again, gently patting my back. "I won't let you hear these things anymore." I nodded. He softly said, "I just wanted to remind you that there's no good man in this world. Just look at how that old man treated your sister and you'll understand. Stay away from him from now on, all right? I won't allow you to get close to him. Do you understand?" I nodded, then looked up at him again. "So you're not a good person either, are you?" Ethan laughed. "What do you think?" I carefully observed him. In my heart, Ethan had never been a good person. But over the years, initially, he treated me very harshly, but that only lasted for half a year. After that, until now, he had actually been very good to me. "Chloe, I'm not a good person." He looked straight into my eyes, "but I will try my best to be a good big brother. I will protect you and not let you suffer any harm." I shook my head. "You don't need to try because you already are a good big brother." Ethan chuckled softly. "Is your standard for a good big brother that low?" I also laughed, feeling much relieved. "Then you can set your standards higher if you want." He led me out of the study. "Your sister, you should stay away from her too. I'll tell the school to move her to a different dorm." I immediately held his hand. "Don't." Ethan stopped and looked at me. "Don't tell me you didn't see tonight that she wanted to hand you over to that old man to torment you. Do you still consider her your sister?" I calmly replied. "When I was 8, I no longer had a sister. Now I only have you. But I still need to keep an eye on her. That's how I feel safer. Otherwise, you can send someone to protect me." Ethan ruffled my hair again. All right, go to your room and get some sleep. On Monday, Mia didn't come to school. Although I didn't witness it firsthand, just hearing her gut-wrenching screams, I knew how much that old psychopath had tormented her. It wasn't until half a month later that Mia returned to school. She looked noticeably thinner. I pretended to be worried and asked, "Big sister, where have you been lately? Your complexion doesn't look good at all." Mia reflexively raised a hand to cover her cheek, then suddenly glared at me. "What does it have to do with you?" I shrugged. "I was just showing a little concern." She laughed coldly. "Worry about yourself first. Be careful, or one day someone might break your legs." After saying that, she unhappily walked into the bathroom. The room still held the lingering, overwhelmingly strong and unpleasant scent of her perfume. A moment later, she came out of the bathroom, tidied up a bit, then left the dorm for class. I didn't sit next to Mia. The perfume on her was too strong, unbearable to smell. Even our classmates started complaining, "Why do you spray so much perfume? It's so pungent it's giving me a headache." Mia immediately retorted, "Pungent? Where? You just can't afford designer perfume, so you're jealous." Everyone immediately kept their distance from her, but she didn't seem to care. However, when she returned to the dorm, she began complaining to me. "Our classmates are so useless, but they're never short on complaints. So what if I spray perfume?" I said bluntly. "You really spray too much. It's so strong it's hard to breathe." Mia glared at me. "You're just like them." Anyway, I won't be at school much longer. I'm about to enter show business. A few days later in the evening, Mia and I were each doing our own thing in the dorm. Her phone suddenly rang. As soon as she hung up, she immediately ran to boast to me. "Chloe, I'm about to enter show business and become a huge star. Grandfather told me to go right away to meet the director and producer." Painful memories from my previous life suddenly flooded my mind. I froze for a moment, then nodded. "Then hurry up and go, big sister." Mia put on her most beautiful dress, meticulously applied her makeup, and happily left the dorm. I suddenly remembered something and immediately called one of the bodyguards Ethan had stationed around me, telling him to follow Mia. The bodyguard followed her to a private club but couldn't get past the door. He called to inform me. I immediately called Ethan. He knew exactly what I wanted to do. After a moment of silence, he said, "Tell your bodyguard to come back. I'll send people in." I hummed an acknowledgement and hung up, but by past midnight, I still hadn't received any news from Ethan. I was too tired, so I fell asleep. The next morning, Mia still hadn't returned. After brushing my teeth and washing my face, I called Ethan. "Have you found anything?" He was silent for a few seconds, then casually said, "Just the usual tricks. You guessed it, didn't you?" I asked, "Can I see a little?" Ethan didn't answer but asked me back, "What would you watch that for?" After saying that, he hung up. That afternoon, I had no classes. Ethan picked me up and took me to a house near the school that he had prepared for me. He turned on the computer and played an audio recording. Inside, there was nothing but vulgar laughter from men. Immediately after, Grandfather Kai's disgusting, perverse voice said, "Little Mia, try a little harder to serve these gentlemen well for your career." Mia couldn't say anything, only making muffled, choked sounds. Grandfather Kai was displeased. "How do I usually teach you? Don't you want to enter show business?" Ethan picked up his phone. "All right, you don't need to hear the rest. Still the same old advice. Stay away from your sister and that old man." I suddenly had a brilliant idea and my lips unconsciously curled into a smile. But then my chin was suddenly gripped. Ethan squeezed my chin with painful force, his eyes darkening, his voice low and warning. "Don't play any tricks, understand?" I struggled, pushing his hand away. "It hurts too much, you're hurting me." He immediately let go, then bent down to examine my chin. "Too weak, I didn't even use any force." I rubbed my chin, angrily muttering, "You want to be even stronger. Are you trying to crush my chin?" He raised a hand and gently tapped my head. "Be sensible, remember what I said." He stopped smiling, his eyes becoming serious. "I don't know what you're thinking, but I know you hate that old man and your sister. If you don't like them, you can tell me directly, and I'll help you take care of them. But Chloe, if I find you secretly playing tricks behind my back, if you dare to mess around, I will really hit you." I knew Ethan said that because he was worried something bad would happen to me, so I stepped forward, wrapped my arms around his neck, and whined, "Big brother, you're really good." Ethan silently looked at me for a moment, then sighed. "Just for one big brother from you, I feel like my entire life is over. It's not worth it." I immediately released him, happily nodding. "Then abandon me, don't be my big brother anymore. Don't talk nonsense." His voice dropped slightly, clearly displeased to hear that. This time, Mia returned to the dorm very quickly. She excitedly boasted to me, "Big sister is about to star in a movie. The script has been decided, and as soon as the team is assembled, I'll join the crew. Congratulations, big sister. Mia smugly scoffed, then went into the bathroom. The perfume on her was getting stronger and stronger. Was it to hide Grandfather Kai's foul smell? Before joining the film crew, Mia still attended classes as usual. But these days, she was clearly much more active, bragging everywhere about her upcoming movie role. Some people were interested, others were envious. That day, when I entered the classroom, I saw a crowd gathered around her. Can I come with you? I don't ask for much, even an extra role is fine. My acting is good, give me 2 lines. Mia clearly relished being flattered. Suddenly, someone yelled, "Oh my God, what's that smell? Did someone fart? That's disgusting." The crowd around Mia immediately dispersed. Others in the class quickly gathered their belongings and ran out of the classroom. I was about to follow, but when I turned around, I saw Mia standing motionless. Someone whispered from behind, "Mia pooped her pants." Because the smell was too awful, the entire class was moved to another classroom, but Mia didn't reappear. After classes that afternoon, Ethan picked me up. As he drove, he said, "Your sister is in the hospital again. Did you know?" I guessed Mia had gotten into trouble, but I didn't know why she was hospitalized. "Why?" Ethan indifferently replied, "I won't tell you, I'm afraid you'll throw up." I thought of the scene in the classroom today, and considering what she had been through, I did a quick online search. Even without Ethan saying anything, I had guessed 8 or 9 parts of it. Perhaps Mia had lost control of her bowels, causing her to uncontrollably defecate. No wonder she kept spraying such strong perfume, it was to cover the smell. But clearly, it couldn't be covered. I thought for a moment, then told Ethan to take me to the hospital. He was silent for a while, but eventually agreed. At the hospital room, Mia was lying on the bed with a bodyguard standing guard outside. I walked to the bedside and gently called out, "Big sister." Mia suddenly went crazy, screaming, "Get out!" Ethan quickly walked in. Seeing that I was fine, he turned and walked back out. Mia's face was pale, her entire body looking like a demon crawling out of hell, her features contorted with resentment. "Haha, did you come here to mock me?" I sighed. "Big sister, don't be like this. I'm truly worried about you. You can't become a big star anymore. But you should also think about Grandfather. Grandfather is already old and has heart disease, needing medication every day. If something happens to you and he gets shocked into an illness, what will we do?" I intentionally emphasized the words big star, heart disease, and medication. I believed Mia understood. Sure enough, Mia, who had been raging on the bed, suddenly stopped. She looked up at me, then burst into loud laughter. At this moment, Ethan walked in, wordlessly dragged me out of the hospital room. After closing the door, he coldly questioned, "What are you doing? How many times have I told you? If you want to do something, just tell me, and I'll do it for you. Who gave you permission to put yourself in danger?" Lately, he was getting more and more fierce. I pouted and whined, "Aren't you always protecting me? I'm not scared, so what are you afraid of?" Ethan stared at me for a very long time. Only then did he turn his head to look out the window, his low voice resonating. "Chloe, I only have you left." I knew he was afraid something bad would happen to me, but there were some things I wanted to do myself. I wanted to take revenge with my own hands. I threw myself into his arms, clutching his shirt tightly. "Big brother, I won't let anything happen to myself." Mia didn't disappoint me either. After being discharged from the hospital, she went straight home. The next day, I received news that Grandfather Kai had died. In that moment, I felt as if a huge rock that had been pressing down on my heart for so long had vanished. He was dead. That psychopath was finally dead. It was so good. Without anyone telling me, I knew he had died of a heart attack. He couldn't withstand that intense stimulation, and the medication was no longer effective. So he had suffocated. After Grandfather Kai's funeral, Mia appeared at the company wanting to hold a shareholders' meeting. All shareholders were present. As a shareholder, I naturally had to attend. Mia saw me, her face showing surprise. "What are you doing here?" I smiled gently. "Don't you know, big sister, I'm a shareholder." Ethan silently walked past Mia and me. Ethan pulled me inside. Mia stepped forward and announced, "Grandfather is dead." He said that after he passed away, all his assets would be left to me, so from now on, I am the chairman of this company. Hearing this, the shareholders exchanged glances, then burst into laughter. "Little girl, we're already here out of respect for you, but you can't play games with us like this, can you?" Mia's face paled. "Who's playing games? Grandfather has a will." Director Zhang waved his hand, chuckling faintly. "No need for a will anymore. Your grandfather's shares have long been in CEO Kai's hands. He no longer has any assets." Mia was stunned. "What?" Her face was filled with shock. Impossible, that's impossible, Director Zhang calmly continued. Currently, the largest shareholder of the company is CEO Kai. The second largest shareholder is our Miss Chloe. He pointed towards me. Mia still couldn't believe it. Impossible. Suddenly, she went mad, pointing directly at me and screaming, "Chloe, why aren't your legs crippled yet? Ethan, quickly break her legs. Hurry." Ethan looked at her with cold eyes, then casually ordered, "Take her out." This shareholders' meeting was truly a farce. Ethan and I walked out together. He casually said, "There's a surveillance camera in that old man's room. Mia intentionally took away his medication. That's intentional murder. I've already reported it to the police." After saying that, he chuckled softly. "By the way, did you pass the civil service exam?" Suddenly, a roaring engine sound echoed. Ethan and I simultaneously looked over. Mia, sitting in a car, stomped on the accelerator, driving wildly towards us. Her face was contorted like a demon from hell, her mouth seemingly screaming, "Die!" Everything happened in a flash. I didn't even have time to react before Ethan forcefully pushed me aside. Crash! He was flung away. Mia crashed straight into a pillar in front of the company gate, dying instantly. 2 days later, Ethan finally woke up. His eyes, as he looked at me, seemed to belong to a different person. Just as I was about to call out to him, he preempted me. He asked me a question full of hidden meaning. "Did you make the right choice this life?" My entire body suddenly stiffened. Ethan, you remember?" Even while still lying in the hospital bed, Ethan exuded a kind of invisible pressure. He looked at me and slowly said, "Chloe, you really are a good little sister." My heart pounded wildly. It took a long time before I could regain my voice. I'll go call the doctor." But just as my hand touched the doorknob, Ethan's voice rang out again. "Chloe." I froze, slowly turning to meet his gaze. He looked at me for a very, very long time. Then he asked, "Have you ever thought of me as your big brother?" I just silently looked at him. Ethan's gaze grew deeper and deeper, as if he was waiting for something. "Even for a second, have you ever been sincere with me?" I looked at the man lying in the hospital bed, then lowered my head. I'm sorry, Ethan. I've always used you these past years. Using you has been ingrained in my bones. From the beginning, I only cared about myself. I seem incapable of truly loving anyone." I left to call the doctor. The doctor told me that the patient was out of critical danger, but still needed to stay in the hospital for observation. I nodded. "Then I'll go home and get some things for him." I packed his personal belongings and returned to the hospital, but the hospital bed was empty. My heart skipped a beat. Behind me, a nurse sighed. He was clearly out of life-threatening danger. How could he suddenly pass away like this? I stood frozen on the spot. In that moment, I felt as if the entire world had lost its connection to me. I don't know how long I stood there. It felt like an eternity. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out. "Chloe." My entire body stiffened. I slowly turned around. Ethan, leaning on a cane and dressed in hospital attire, stood right before my eyes. But why couldn't I see his face clearly? He asked, "Why are you crying?" I reached up to touch my face. It was drenched. So I had been crying. I opened my mouth, but it took a long time before I could utter, "I thought you were dead." Ethan chuckled softly. "Wouldn't.